Welcome to learning about Chapter 9 in the U.S. Constitution. So we know a little bit about the Constitution from the Convention, but still we are really going to dig into the ins and outs of this Constitution. First and foremost, we have to understand that the Constitution is considered a living document. And the reason it's considered a living document is because it has changed with time, and it will continue to change as the future progresses. Framers, they're going to introduce procedures for changing the Constitution. They don't want it to be one single thing. It's not going to be set in stone for them. So we understand that the Constitution has great strength, it has great laws, but then it does have flexibility and it can change to the times. None of the changes are going to be dramatic. With that being said, the Constitution is always going to keep its basic nature and its basic structure, but it's going to be able to change if it needs to be. Therefore, this is why it's considered a living document. To start our learning about Chapter 9 in the Constitution, we're going to look at the three branches of government, and this video is going to focus on the legislative branch. And we know that the legislative branch is our U.S. Capitol. You guys may have seen this before. This is where Congress meets, and we know that Congress is made up of our House of Representatives along with our Senate. Now, when we take a closer look at Congress, like we see here, we have our House of Representatives, which we know is based on the state's population. So the more population you have, the more representatives your state is going to have in Congress. Senate is state equality, which means that each state has 2 senators, no matter their population. Framers, they did this to balance the rights for small and large states. We learned this when we debated in our Constitutional Convention simulation, and we came up with what was called the Great Compromise. Now, a question you may be asking is, how in the heck do they determine population in the House of Representatives? Well, what the Constitution does is the Constitution sets the number of representatives in the House at 435 members. This number is then divided by the states according to the population. Another question you may ask is, how do they know the exact population of states? Well, this is determined by what is called the census. The census is about every 10 years when the Constitution calls for a population count. And this is in order to determine representation in the House of Representatives. This is why you see states changing the number of representatives that they have. It is according to the census, which is every 10 years. And they will divide it, it looks like this kind of pie graph here, they're dividing it by the 435 number of representatives. As we take a deeper look at the Senate, Senate members, so the 2 members from your state, they serve 6-year terms. And therefore, they're served 6-year terms because they're allowed some independence of day-to-day voters, which means they don't always need to be campaigning. They don't always need to be kind of in the thick of things and hearing from their voters all the time. It gives them a little lenience to kind of make some own individual decisions and kind of build that rapport in Congress. Now, for the House of Representatives, these representatives serve 2-year terms. This forces them to have to face voters much more often, especially if they want to keep running for re-election, in which they typically do. So this forces them to hear more from the people, and they're serving less people, obviously, because House of Representatives is based off population. So they're serving a less amount of people. When we talk about the legislative branch today, both the representatives and the senators are elected strictly by the people in their respective states. In order to be a member of the House of Representatives or the Senate, there's some age requirements. For the Senate, you must be at least 30 years old to run for senator and to be a senator. For the House of Representatives, you must be at least 25 years old. There also is a citizenship requirement, which means that you have to live in the U.S. for a certain amount of time. For the Senate, you must have been an American citizen for 9 years. What's up? When we're talking about the House of Representatives and their citizenship requirements, in order to be a representative or run for representation, you must have been an American citizen for 7 years. So there is a citizen requirement to be a member of Congress. When discussing the legislative branch, we have to look at what its primary purpose is and what its primary focus is in our government. Its primary purpose is to make laws. So any member of the House or the Senate can submit a proposal for a new law, and this law can range from a number of different things. That being said, even any member from the House or the Senate can propose, but only the House of Representatives can propose new taxes. So someone from the Senate could not propose a new tax. The process for passing a law, or what it is also called a bill, is fairly confusing. So I'm going to go through this process of how it is passed. The first thing is a bill or a law is proposed, either by a member of the House or a member of the Senate. The bill is then debated. After it is debated, it is voted upon. If the majority of members in one house are in favor of a new bill, it goes to the other house. So, the bill is first debated in the House of Representatives, and then it is voted on in the House of Representatives. If it passes in the House of Representatives, then it moves on, and it is then debated in the Senate. Okay? Once the bill is debated in the Senate and approved in the Senate, then the bill goes to the President of the United States. The bill can only become a law if the President signs it. So I'll go through that process one more time. The bill is going to be proposed. It's then going to be debated in the House of Representatives. It's voted on in the House of Representatives. If it passes in the House, then it goes to the Senate, and then it is debated in the Senate. If it then passes in the Senate, it goes to the President, in which the President has to sign it for it to become a law. The legislative branch, along with this purpose, they have many powers. One of their powers is that they can decide how to spend money that are raised through taxes. So they spend our tax money. They also have the power to raise an army and a navy. They can declare war, pay government debts, grant citizenship to people, and make all laws that are necessary and proper. Those are the powers of the legislative branch. In the part 2 video, we will learn about the executive branch and the judicial branch.